I'm not meme depressive. I'm really not. Like, this is going to be a bit different because the other channel is still valid, but I want to put up what I also really think. Like, of course, fine. I get it. I have the idea that when I make a video that where I talk to others, I usually am just really professional about it over there. And professional to the point of common sense. I would say the same thing to you if I was in a call with you, but I'm not. And if I were closer, I would probably go into the specifics of this, but it's just not really. So it's not as if the project has hit any sort of major hurdle at the point. It's just I'm waiting for things, and other people keep saying things about their projects that I like, and I can't help but feel it's just a little friggin' stupid when people say that they want to do something and then they don't really do it. They don't really mean what they say. They can't have control over themselves. They can't actually think about what they're saying and if they mean it or not. I'm not talking about David here, or the real user. David is his name. It's pretty obvious. It's even his Twitter handle now, so I'm not exactly giving you new information by that. This isn't about him, though. It's just a couple of people, even the ones that I'm still hanging with. It's just so awkward. I have a lot of issues with what's going on in the community currently. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. I'm not doing this for that reason. I'm just spouting out this, particularly because it's a bit more blunt and full force. I'm not going to really hold myself back as much. I'm not really going to edit this. It's just going to be an audio track with a singular picture over it, probably, because it's not that I don't want to edit this. It's just well, that is true. I don't want to edit it, but I don't want to. When I'm blunt, my tone of voice should speak more than a couple of pictures. A lot of people in the community are using really low quality models, mostly because it's the only thing they have. And in some cases, alright then, but I don't feel like that should be appropriate, that people should just settle for that kind of thing. Now, I don't exactly want to specifically go into whose models I'm talking about here or whatever. It's more so in terms of the new characters. I'm mainly referring to the hairstyles here, and as a Gmod user, my complaints don't really apply to the SFM people who can actually do this, but I'm just trying to explain my viewpoint here. I don't want to use the new hairstyles on the Inklings, not because I hate them. I have hundreds of characters with the new hairstyles, so that's not reason why. If the hairstyles since I'm using them already, that's not in stories. That's not the reason why. The reason why is in Gmod, the way items bone merge to each other, if the hair bones have unique bones, which they do most of the time, you can't move them, and that means that the hair's gonna be flat, and that doesn't really sit well when you could have the hair bend and whatnot. I need to go a bit further. I've been doing a lot of things in terms of fighting for like the head bone, the hair bones and such. I actually I actually asked to keep the advanced bone tool bones for the Doomlight Inklings because in the beginning, Dark Mario 2, I'm pretty sure half of you know who he is, made a character called Carmel, and she had a ponytail that was done with advanced bone tool back then, and I liked those stories at the time, so I fought so then they could be kept in, and I then later made my own characters to justify the usage of that particular prop. So now I have 4 characters for use with the hairstyles, with the 2 tentacle hairstyle thing, and I don't necessarily want them to go away now. But see, this issue persists. It has persisted throughout the way I port, the people I've met and who I port with. I really don't want to mention names because I don't want to give the impression that these people absolutely 100% think this way. This is just purely speculation on my end because I'm just trying to provide a viewpoint that I've been having here for a very, very long time. But say I've talked with Fission in the past and Cool Dude 100, both of them. Both of them are really, really good porters, and I praise what they do under some circumstances because I have criticisms with others. Because blind faith is not something you should have on the internet. But beyond that, just really with anyone. I mentioned in my videos lately that I uploaded on the main channel that people were going to pitchfork me if I left myself online, and that's just a viewpoint I have. I don't exactly expect anyone to do that. Most of my feed is actually really, really quiet. I very, very rarely get anyone responding to anything, so when anyone actually responds to something, it's a momentous occasion for me, because usually it will take a very long time for them to respond, if at all. And when I post something publicly, I barely get any say because I'm very literal. I'm not meme depressive. I'm not memey. I'm not comically depressed. I can laugh along with a meme with friends in the moment. In a sincere vein though, I can't accept the meme for what it is. I will joke about it in the moment, but as the way my personality goes, I don't care about memes. I'm not meme depressive, and so I don't fill my feed with tons and tons of those types of posts. The posts are either mine or they're a viewpoint I agree with. I don't think that simplistically. Not all the time, at least, and I very, very rarely come across the type of meme that I would think to retweet or something. Whereas these people and everyone else are pretty much exactly like that, and it's probably also how they see Splatoon, which I don't see it that way, and that's precisely why I hate the Americanized writing of the entire thing, because it's all leading to meme depressive behavior. I don't want to make the impression I'm withholding the maps. I'm not, because I need the whole reason that I've put up character bios on DeviantArt is so then I can prove to you people that I need these stories. I need these clothes. I need these maps. I need the side project potentially, and the side project of models potentially, which includes the octo bosses and stuff like that. I need this stuff. And I need this stuff out so I don't look like a disaster boasting to you all, like, oh, I have this thing and you don't, sort of thing. And, like, not to say that will be 100%, but if you are missing out on something, it's not from the game, or at least like, you know, a port from it. So like if you're missing out on, I have a story in the works. I'll go on that in a moment. I have a story that I need to kind of flesh out a bit more. I need to flesh all of them out a bit more. But the first Azure story involves her finding a scroll. Now I've used the SFM to Gmod porting method for the Sunken Scrolls and created a custom texture for that. Stuff like that is like what I would keep private, not necessarily I'm going to keep an entire model from the game for you or an entire map from you, because that's not fun. That isn't fun at all. And it's something I think they would disagree with me about for certain circumstances, because but that's purely what I think. I don't know if they actually think that. But it seems to me that it's pretty obvious. But like, I need these things for my stories to exist. And like, I showed a brief glimpse of in the videos that I had like an entire folder of like 60 scripts ready. That the 60 scripts are not it. 60 is like the baseline for the most major events that happen. There would need to be smaller events in between with individualized maps, with individualized characters with their weapons, and a synopsis on the events that occur, such as teaming spray forming, which isn't made into a script, or what else? The test fire events when Splatoon first formed, that's not scripted either. Along with actually Helen's first fight against Octavio is also not scripted, but that's also part of the story. And these events all require certain maps and characters to be in them in order for me to be able to pose them, so I literally, if I was able to put them out, I would have put them out. So I'm not doing that yet. And so because I'm not putting them out yet, that means they're not ready. But like for 2 years now, they've been planning projects, and this is purely my speculation, because I know it's really weird, because I said it as a sideways quip, like, no one really has stories for motivation because I made them out of disappointment because theirs were uninteresting as heck. And that's not wrong, but it feeds also into why I can't really interact with anyone else in the community, because no one else wants to hear my stories at all, even on a basic level, because it's the way they perceive Splatoon is too different. I remember a really long time ago when I was in Sky's server, and I was with a couple of the others, and they were surprised I was uploading the characters onto DeviantArt, the actual Gmod pictures of them, and they were very surprised at the deluge that had happened previously. So when I was going to introduce more character bios for later on, no one paid attention when I slowed it down based on their criticism. And when they said they were surprised at how fast it was, they didn't want to pay attention to anything I said. And even in just text form, not even just calls, they encouraged me to post, what I posted that was relevant to my story and whatever. And there was very little, but there was something. I was trying to make random scripts for the sake of. When they would post something extremely infrequently, they would get at least like 3 quotes. And I wait a day for this type of stuff. So it's not like I expect a response immediately, but I waited a day for when I posted something, and I would receive literally nothing. So there was blatant favoritism and bias towards the people who make artwork that depicts nothing versus something that has a history behind it. So at this point, I'm pleasing myself and myself alone. And this kind of feeds into why I can't really talk to anyone, because no one wants to hear the reason, the motivation behind why I'm doing these maps, and why, not just the maps, the clothes, anything related to making sure the stories can come to light, because the characters need to wear what they're supposed to wear, and the characters need to be in where they're supposed to be in, so that kind of makes sense. It's not exactly like weapons are an afterthought, but, you know, if they come across my, if I come across them, I come across them, you know? But, and this is the most awkward thing, because I can't tell Fission or Cruel or anyone about these reasons, because, like, normally they're selfish as heck. I need this for my character specifically, and even though the reason why I suggest things like having the hair, having the head bone, having other things, is so then people can have options. Remember what I mentioned in those I don't even know if half of the people have even watched those videos. I know they have views because I just uploaded the videos and then pushed them out, so I know I'm not the one who watched them 14 times. But whoever's watched the videos, if not, like, but remember what I mentioned about Marina's Bay, and how if I had that rendered piece of land that you can't normally access in the game accessible, you would be able to open yourself to more opportunities to be able to do things, such as making an uncharted piece of treasure down there. That uncharted treasure could be completely ambiguous. It could be a portal to another world. It could be a treasure that's lost from the human age. It could be something I have no idea. I'm legitimately serious when I tell people I have not made things like this. If I have made something, I would have made it clear at this point, and it's actually a very, very small percentage of things that I'm actually doing at the moment. It's like the Plaza and Octo Valley are relevant to the first couple stories. Then, like, Salisbury Rig is relevant to the fourth story, and then Camp Triggerfish, and then after that is some minor background stuff like Kelp Dome and Urchin Underpass. But, like, you think out to farther out their maps, and, like, say Mahi Resort, even though I can't really do it at the moment, but, like, let's use that as an example at the moment. Mahi Resort, I can't do Mahi Resort because obviously the UVs are broken, but, like, if personal preference was to bias everything, I wouldn't. Mahi Resort isn't even used in my stories at all. It's not there. But I can't pretend like other people haven't got their stories placed in Mahi Resort. So, like, if and when there's a fix for the Bifrost script, you know, I'll still work on it. It would have to catch up to all the other ones, because the other ones all have collisions and are basically ready to compile and need animations and stuff like that in them. But, like, this one, like, I'm not trying to just prioritize myself, but even not prioritizing myself, I want to include myself as well, because I like this story. I like the story that the games provide. That's why I've made 61 scripts and still continue to make entire synopsises around the characters, because other people will just make generic cartoons. They'll just make, or even stuff you would think I would like. I don't, because it's extremely simplistic and no one has looked into the Splatoon lore enough, like that the Octarians were mind controlled in Splatoon 1, or that what else, like the hackers and how the game works in terms of the things. In fact, like, I've made a whole background system of terminology, like the turf war system has system being a keyword, has passes, that's another keyword, to be able to access the game, so then you can play, so then you can access the pipes, keyword, so then you can access the stages, which is a whole lot of background fluff just to enhance the world, because it's normally just hand waved by a bunch of screens in game. But like, the awkward thing is that when they say they'll port gear, or when they'll port anything else, I will dream up these. It's not as if I think that these things are real. It's just that I really like them to the extent that I want to be able to make things about them. People have those things that they really, really like that they don't ever want to be rid of, even if it's futile to others, or seemingly silly to other people. I may think Guild Wars is stupid, but David thinks it's the most perfect thing in the world. So I'm not going to chastise him for playing it at all. It was just him playing it over the help that he had promised me in the beginning, that, you know, he had volunteered for in the first place. It wasn't him playing Guild Wars specifically, though. But like, when Fission says he'll port the Inklings, or when Cruel says he'll port the gear, which he has said and then sat on because no one has motivation in this community, I will sit there and dream about what could potentially be, and I'm annoyed at that it doesn't happen. I'm not trying to confirm anything here. These are just things they've said in the past that are pretty much already public, either to Discord or pretty much to other people by word of mouth. So I'm not necessarily spouting any new truths here. And again, what I'm saying isn't fact. They could probably be well done with the models at this point, and I have no idea if they are. But I can't really tell them why I care about it, because, well, obviously that'd be extremely cringy. You'd think someone's gonna act professional and stuff, and here I am. My mind's the mind of a 16-year-old who's making fan fiction on the internet. Even though I'm getting close to 21. Age isn't a factor to me anymore. Like, I like a thing because I like it, and I will develop on it as much as I see fit. Like, it's sad because whenever they say that they're demotivated to port, and not just them, but like people that are in the community that are not willing to port anything, it's sad because I want to splurge on them, my stories, the reason why I'm motivated, because I work on these clothes, these maps, like, even if like recently I finished the collisions in comparison to the other video, but I need animations and stuff, so I've recently been given pointers to be able to work more on the clothes, so I'm now working on the clothes, because, you know, I care about them. I'm not making finalized versions at the moment, they're just sort of there, but I'm making steps to be able to do that, because if you haven't, that's fine, but like, I have made hundreds of characters. Like, I make a private Splatfest document for myself. It's a fun game I play to myself every time a Splatfest comes out. How many can I place on each team that actually matches up with my actual choice? And this counts all the characters that are active in Turf Wars only. There are like a minuscule amount that aren't, but they're like 3 or 4. So I have, apparently, according to this document, like 400 and something characters. Now, again, like, Inkopolis is a city. Inkopolis is a city full of teenagers, both Inklings and Octolings. These 400 individuals are split into friend groups of about 20 each, and if they know others across groups, they're more like acquaintances rather than they all know each other individually like some sort of big hive mind. They're not they're not all 100% knowing each other at every turn. I could easily make stories where they could ask who the other one is and they wouldn't know. But these are children in a city. A city has a large population. Like, this is evident by the hubs having such a large population in them. Granted, so the game can still run, but whatever. Inkopolis is a city. A city has a lot of citizens in it. So, like, you're lucky you're only seeing 400 of them. I like this game's clothing. I literally, this is why I made the texture packs. I could literally sit there for hours staring at this stupid clothing on these characters. And I will still like it. Even in the game, sometimes I will see an inkling. Granted, when it's not one of the few that are really popular and wear the same crap every single time. But when I see a new inkling or octoling and I see what they're wearing, and sometimes I'll screen cap it if the combination that they picked is really, really damn good. I like these characters. That's why I make so many of them. They're not all on equal footing in terms of prominence in the story, but that doesn't have to matter. That never has to matter. They could just be a team that pops up once in the story and then never again, or I could just pop to them in the background. I'm making the stories to please myself at this point because no one else wants to listen to them. I've tried many things and no one wants to care, so it's either a matter of I please myself or I wait for people to get entertained by it, which the latter likely isn't happening, so I'm just going to please myself. And what I'm doing so far is entertaining to myself, porting these maps or porting these things. I don't want to withhold them from people. I really don't. But the reason I have to is because, do you really want a piece of crap that I made in 2 minutes? It's not even I want to make a piece of crap that I made in 2 minutes. I want to use a piece of crap that I spent months on, working to make sure that it's up to the quality effort that anyone can use it properly. Because if I just use the thing that I made in 2 seconds, I'll look back at my comics and cringe. The comics that I'll make and cringe, because they won't be current. They'll be made because I made it with a work in progress version of the thing that I'm making it for, and that's just not fun. I want the thing to be final so then I can look at it and actually read it as a current story with the current assets and think, yeah, that I could make that now myself as a viewer. It's so awkward because half of them are really... Everyone has the SM64 ink Sona mentality, where you only have one character or a certain few amount of characters, or you probably don't have any characters at all, and your character is simply just you, and everyone who you're friends with on Discord is your group of friends in this world, and your avatar is yourself. You aren't an inkling. The inkling is just you. It's... And I'm not trying to say that's wrong. People can do what they like. But there creates a disconnect between the individual and the thing, and this is why it's so hard when I hear things like that they're depressed and demotivated and can't really do anything because they promise things that they can't actually deliver because they sit on their asses preening themselves. This is my thought. Unable to motivate themselves because they don't have anything to connect to. I don't want to make it seem like it's so easy for them to do that, though. That I'm against them. That I'm exposing them or something. They're friends, and if I would... doing this with them, it would probably like somehow a shred of hope within me hopes that they are encouraged and want to continue, but my mind personally says they aren't. I don't want to make it come off as like I'm insulting them or their work or being trying to be derogatory. I'm just trying to say what's on my mind at the moment. I don't care if they see this and think, oh man, Pinkalaw's such a shithead because she can't really understand how hard we work by sitting on our asses doing nothing and promising stuff that we can't make. It's like when you guys say you make the new maps, or not new maps, because that's me. When you guys say you're making the new Inklings, it's like I don't want things to be removed in the transition between these things. There are a lot of things we can't make in the game that I'm trying to make possible for people. The texture packs being an example. Fission forgot to make a wristbands pack for the shirts with wristbands. I grabbed out a few of them and made them not only for his pack but for my pack. For at least Gmod. I don't know about SFM, I'm sorry. But like, think about that idea. You could put the black squid eyes band on the carnivore tee. Someone wearing the carnivore tee, and you now have more customization than what the game provides. I mean, in the game it's just a separate shirt, a separate piece of gear, so it's not something you care about, but to me, that customization is important because I don't have any characters like that. I don't have a character who wears the carnivore tee, who wears the black squid eye band, but the possibility of that is opened up to more people who potentially feel that way, who potentially feel like they want more options than what the game provides. When I see people using my maps, and that could be in a picture, that could be in a video, I like seeing that not only are people aware that this map is like, you know, something that they needed, but like this map is also something that had a modicum of effort put into it. That this thing with a modicum of effort is being used by someone to bring them happiness for that particular time. Everyone else is able to tell their stories at the moment but me. I've been extremely lenient towards the entire community at this point because I've been unable to tell my story for a while. I only have actually 2 comics of what the story entails, and none of them are the main part. Or like barely even related in one case. So it's really hard when they'll say they're doing things because I legitimately care for these characters. For my characters even. And it's like I don't want to make it seem like I'm deluded to the point where I only care about them because no crap. They're fictional. They are fictional, drawn cephalopods that were made for a professional product one day. I'm completely aware of that. It's just I like to daydream a lot. I've been daydreaming, make-believing since I was a kid. I don't want that to stop. Because I find enjoyment in it. People my age tend to get in a lot worse of a scrape than just simply mind-believing and being naive. Naive as in, you know, the childlike mindsets that I have. I don't like watching or engaging in adult material most of the time. Like what's explicitly adult material. I really, really don't. I will usually like click off pages and stuff like that when I see an artist is doing that type of thing, because it's just, I don't like seeing it. I know it's real, I just don't like seeing it. I prefer being normal with that type of thing. And I hate to like pretend it's like not, but like with relationships, I prefer it to be platonic, at least on a certain level, where like the flirty crap is kept to an extreme minimum. Like I have a character who is extremely explicit with like sexual jokes, but in universe, but the most it would probably get is just her making an extremely awkward face half the time about that sort of thing. Mostly because I don't really know any sexual jokes, and it's mostly just her face that will be presented that way, rather than me actually thinking, oh yeah, I need to make a sex joke today. Like, and even like actual hints of relationships between my characters. Well, first of all, both sides are completely fictional, so you can't really. It's what, two cells of my brain are mating together? Great, I'm pretty sure they do that all the time. So no one has any right to criticize that. It's literally just two fictional characters going together, if even then, because it'll be treated as purely a, you know, it will remain in like a static kind of thing, because I don't really care about that type of thing beyond a basic friendship that is important. So like how I would interact with someone as important as a friend who I would daydream about consistently, maybe, would be on the same level as these characters are. It sounds naive. You'd think it's impossible, but that's the case. That's true. And I said in those videos I was going to do something every 24 hours, and I'm working on the maps every 24 hours is a bit of a lie, because that would just imply I'm only working on the maps every 24 hours. This whole thing is a project. This whole thing takes up time and effort. The project is about getting my stories to be visualized. That includes maps, but is not limited to maps. It's anything that results in getting these stories out to people. That includes clothes or anything like that. So, at the moment, since I've been given a few pointers, I'm going to work towards the clothes. It's hard because I want to tell people that I made all these characters, I made all these scripts, I have these, you know, these backgrounds that I want to elaborate on, these things that I've never told to people. Some of this is kept private completely, and no one has seen a hint of it. I've put some of it in their actual bios, but no one bothers to read the description of those, so most people just think they're useless pictures for no reason that I just gather off of my Switch. It actually takes a lot of editing for me to get those pictures right. I even have, more recently, since Springfest is a thing, I've recently gotten another 20 or something characters that are minor, that are going to like develop minor groups, since, you know, the demo happened. So I use demos as a point in universe to be able to say, oh yeah, a whole bunch, like, not that squids and octos don't join at any random point otherwise, but a lot of squids and octos randomly joined at this point in time, and it made an impact, sort of thing. Inkopolis is a city, and these teenagers have different motivations that they want to do. One wants to start a big news group. Another one wants to rival them with a bigger with pretty much the same type of news group and have competition going on. Someone wants to keep a secret from their friends about one of their other friends who's actually from like another world and could, if said, they worry that the world could fall apart. There's another. The main story is about the Pink Law 16 trademarked crap. That's a joke, but the stuff that I completely made up, like that, where magic is involved in this universe and it relies on the intelligence of one of the Inklings who had a natural curiosity spark that day, and for the ensuing months to be able to solve these mysteries and bringing couples back to normal. There's the Octolings plot, which is pretty much official now, where Octolings aren't as bad as they seem, and one of them has always wanted to escape to the surface. You kinda get why there's 400 characters now? There's like 20 groups of this crap. And I've mostly made it to myself in private. These characters speak a lot. Not that I actually think that they're real or anything. That's dumb. They aren't real. They're fictional squid things. But these stories resonate with me. I've been writing kind of stuff like this for ages, since I wrote the plays at the end of primary school, and I'm at the end of school now writing crappy fan fiction for a game I really liked a long time ago, and still do, but it's hard because in these settings where I'm talking with these people, they don't have these types. They don't pay attention as closely to the story. They get what's needed and they run. They don't care about that sort of thing. And even if they do catch up to what everything is said in the game, some things outside of the game are not given as much attention. And like, I don't pay attention to every facet. I don't pay attention to the Splatoon manga because I don't like how the manga is extremely juvenile to the point where the characters are so childish they can't even have any modicum of depth. They just fight the same fights and they go over the same challenges, and they're just... It's fine when you want that simplicity, but I don't. If I want that simplicity, I could very easily find it on YouTube in an animation where someone stretched another cartoon's skin over Splatoon already. So I really don't need that. I want something with a little bit more depth, like the game itself, like how Octo Expansion was and how crazy it got near the end. That's what I'm looking for. I want to tell them, but it'd be too cringy. It'd be too out there. No one wants to listen to me. Everyone just wants to sit away, driving themselves into a dead end where they just let some awkward force take over them without really believing the reason why. Sort of like a more apocalyptic version of one of the stories I wrote by myself. The Octarians are mind controlled and in the first game, so they only ever want to follow DJ Octavio's command. But this one Octarian, whose parents were murdered by them for rebelling against the army and their ideals. For rebelling, they were killed. And so this Octoling, who was aware of that and saw that, well, if they didn't see it, they knew what happened. And so she had this everlasting hope that, because she was told prior that there is a surface and that they came from it, she wants to go there. And she eventually makes it there. And the point of comparison I'm making is that the Octolings around her never believed her because, well, they're under Octavia's command and control. They can't think for themselves. Well, turn that into a worse version where they can't do anything because they can't reason with that control. Because they can't actively consider why. They held her back from visiting the surface because that was just what they were told to do, but they could never understand the reason why. They could never justify that to themselves. Especially the calamari incantation point sort of just exemplifies that point, because now that's the justification for why they finally decided it was time to leave. I literally haven't told them this. I only just say it on my Twitter and no one reads that. They don't read that. No one reads that. I'm just so rambly and stupid. It's so awkward, because when I look at one of the characters' bios that I've released, I tend to think that maybe I might want to have posed them with their weapon in a dynamic pose or something. Because all I can get are myself cosplaying in the game with the default animation of them playing. I get the whole animation all of the time. It's just I specifically pick a certain shot that best describes what I think of that character. Are they mysterious? Are they shy? Are they sad? Or are they the most happiest, bubbliest thing around? When I first got all of the gear packs for the first lot, and that which I can still pose, like, posing them felt good. And I want to be able to do that with a proper story, with the proper maps necessary. And, like, that's great. And then eventually when I get to the Splatoon 2 story, I'm going to run out of assets that I'll have, because the Splatoon 1 story, I can roll by fine with just the default hairstyle, but, like, some other characters, especially the new ones, the new generation of Turf War fighters that came along, they're using newer hairstyles with different personalities, and I wouldn't like it if the hairstyles are static and stay in one spot all the time. It's just, no. You probably wonder why I don't use, when I refer to my story, I usually call it Turf War instead of Splatoon. Like, I've only ever, in the game's dialogue, Splatoon is only ever used to refer to the new Squidbeak Splatoon. Splatoon's just the name of the game series, so I don't call Splatoon the name of the game that they're playing. The name of the mode that they play is Turf Wars, and it's the core fundamental that Splatoon as a game was built around. So it is the name of the game, literally. It is the name and the function and the fundamental of how the game is. So I just call, in the story, Turf War is the name of the basic Splatoon game that they all play. Not that they don't play ranked, but those are their own modes with their own names. I don't like sitting around doing nothing. That's why I want to work on something every 24 hours at least, working on something. Because I really want to get these out. Somehow. Even if I'm the only person to see it, I don't care. I want to make this, and I want to make this a thing. That is if I'm the only person to see my stories, not if I'm the only person to see the assets that I've made. But like, I'll leave a message and people will be so demotivated and they can't respond to crap. And then I'll see some of them make promo pictures for their things. But do they have stories behind them? Half the time they don't. They're just disconnected entities that are there to make a picture look nice. There's like nothing wrong with that. I don't want to portray it like it's like that's the wrong way to go about it. It's just I'm different from most people. The inkling that I have in my Twitter, Discord, I have the same icon for everywhere for consistency's sake, so you know it's me and not some random fan cosplaying as me. And I have had that on Roblox, but I haven't had anyone since, but I know people know who I am, so whatever. But that inkling doesn't have a story. It's just an avatar inkling. The actual stories are the ones based around the fictional characters that I put in my folders on DeviantArt. The ones with the pictures from Splatoon and Splatoon 2 with the transparency and the... It's actually really hacky Photoshop editing. I have to just cut out the inkling and octoling from the picture. It's actually easier to do with the Splatoon 1 ones because the JPG quality is cleaner a bit. It's a little blurrier in Splatoon 2, at least with the basic capture function. And like this is sort of always been an issue, but the lighter skin doesn't really blend too well. It's like the darker characters are actually much easier to spit out because Photoshop doesn't hate them as much in comparison to the pastel colored background. It's so awkward. I can't contact them now because I'm nowhere near as close with them, and well, at least in Fission's case, because he's been inactive for ages. Back when I was with David, we were trying to contact him to fix up the Squid Sisters for Gmail because they're all busted, and I tried to ask him, but he was not responding to anything. He still doesn't respond to anything, even when I've just asked him, is he okay? And he can't even say anything to that. As if he'd listen anyway. I read an old chat log of his with someone he was talking with once, and he was talking about me, and even though I was asking for help because I had no idea how to do the gear at that point in time, and I was literally learning from him, he apparently thought I was annoying, even though I was leaving messages just to verify things. And it's like, I don't want to live in sadness. I really don't. The like living a certain emotion, that's not fun. Emotions coming and going is what's fun. Some sort of emotional stability is like important to me. I don't want to be pessimistic my whole life. I really don't. But if he even thinks just blatant verifying in a professional setting is annoying, then how could I ever possibly hope to tell him how much I care about my own characters? That is the reason that I hype up these ports that he or anyone else makes so much. I don't like using programs like Blender for posing for stuff like that. It's kind of why I don't like SFM either. Garry's Mod is kind of that weird instance where I can actually give myself leeway for it, because the ragdolls are like plushes that I can't own in real life. The physics on them make it much more natural for me to make a proper pose with them. Not that I can't move a limb in a pose mode in Blender, but I much prefer being able to just, with the fizz gun, drag it to my face, or drag it up, or drag it down, or do that, or do something with it directly instead of rotating, moving, rotating, moving. Garry's Mods intrigued me since I was a child. Late childhood. But I've known about Garry's Mod since like the early 2010s, and I knew you could post things in it, and I really was interested in it because of that. I prefer sticking with Garry's Mod. I don't have any problems with what it gives me now. The minor inconveniences don't trouble me enough that I think, oh yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. The only reason I don't want to turn it on is because I don't want to be disappointed, because I want to actually pose these stories. I want to pose the scripts I've written. I want to pose these things. I want to make things with these characters because they can be so dynamic looking, and I like that. I don't want to use low quality stuff either, because I've seen what a modicum of effort does to something, that which can make the quality of it better. Yeez's enhanced inklings at the start were crap, in my opinion, but they got better because he put effort into them afterwards to make it better. The gear ports by Squidbot in the beginning were, yeah, they were all we had, but he stopped making them, and then we later found out they were crap. Fisher made a whole gear pack later, and a modicum of effort was placed into that, so... and now people can use it as much as they want. In fact, I've used it to make texture packs for other people. It's hard, because when I tell people that I'm making maps and crap, it's almost hard for them to believe that I'm making them because of some really crappy stories that I wrote once. I'm like, they're not fully fleshed out. I would need to add things to them as I'm going along. There are just minor things at the moment, like basic plot points and basic scripts. But all of them require a visual point, because I'm bad at telling things through words. Alone, at least. That's exactly why I motivate myself to do these projects, because I want these things to come to light. If I can't rely on anyone else to make this change for me, be it stories or basic ports, I need to make that change for myself. No matter if anyone else isn't going to be able to pay attention. If everyone ignores me, I'll just go my own way. That's something the Sonic Adventure games specifically, really. The Sonic Adventure games, Sonic's philosophy in those games was pretty much that. He wasn't in the wrong, but everyone thought he was in the wrong. So he just continued on his way anyway until, things were solved. Everyone thought Sonic was in the wrong because they thought he'd stolen an emerald in SA2. But Sonic knew he hadn't done anything wrong. And so he kept on fighting until the problem was solved. And eventually the problem was solved. And they went and had more adventures. I really liked those games. I can't even bother to speak to anyone about them because of the way I felt about those games when they changed. And it's that thing that I use to motivate myself with these stories. With these characters, with these ports. It's something I don't understand. How can you just say something to someone? How can you just say something? Like, not even something that, like, you say just once. Like, you say this thing constantly that you really want to do. You say this thing, but you can't even push yourself to do it. You can't even make those words into actions. It's like, to go even further down the hole. I don't want to say this as if, like, I actively think about this on a level like I'm angry about this. It's just a state of mind at the moment while things are the way they are. But when others are able to post their characters and their stories, I tend to feel a tinge of jealousy. Because everyone else is able to post these stories that of their own. These stories that half of them I'm disappointed by. And it's like, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to post the comics of my story in the works. I want to. Very, very badly. I won't do it if I'm withholding maps from people. I won't do it if I don't have the assets needed to make them a reality. And those assets need to have a modicum of effort placed into them in order for me to feel good about them, because if they aren't, well, shit. And it's not like I want to say I have a hint of jealousy in that every time someone posts a picture or every time someone makes a comic, I'm thinking, I hate you because you did this. It's more like a longing sort of jealousy. You make this thing, you can make these things, and I want to be able to be like you. And I'm not trying to make anyone, like, make themselves be specific about this, because that could just mean anyone in the community, so I'm not trying to call anyone out on that. But if I have to be honest, I'm scared. Not of myself, not of my passion, because that's not what I'm scared about. I'm scared about something I'm gonna keep quite vague. I'm scared that When I said, when I see other people with their maps, and I feel grateful that they're using the maps, that they have a modicum of effort, and that isn't wrong, and it kind of feeds into my point of why I'm scared. I'm scared because other people can't see that that is important in some ways. Are you the only ones that are privileged to have these sorts of things? Not even just stuff that's relevant to you, I mean like stuff that anyone can have in the game already. I'm scared that they might think that because I'm not meme depressive, because I don't care about being extremely hyper humorous. I'm scared that they think that my love is invalid. They think that the care that I hold for my fan characters, or the care that I hold for making sure that people have options, that anyone can do anything, I'm scared that they think that is invalid. That that's not right. That that's wrong. That they think that people aren't allowed to be able to have these things. Because only they, with the meme depressive behavior, and the ones that sit doing nothing, are allowed to display any modicum of, I keep using that, but you know, it's 3 a.m. and I'm tired. That they're the only ones allowed to see these. It's like, do you know how much I will sit there in bed or something, not even just in bed, but as I'm working, sitting there dreaming about what could potentially be, about these characters, how they move, how they interact. I'm not trying to say this as if it's confirmed. This is literally just my speculation. My worst fears coming to the full surface. I'm scared that they think that because I'm not meme depressive like them, because I'm so literal minded, that I care for things on a deeper level that some people would think of as childish, juvenile, and naive. That love and care is invalid. Not even just me though, other people too, with their avatar characters or personas or the like. I know there are some with some OC character, well, like, they call them OCs, but they're not really, but like, they have characters in the vein that they are fictional entities in a world. Not in the way like that there are civilians in my world, but you know, potentially comparable. It's hard because the people that I work with are all very literal. Even David was. It was surprising when he listened to the story initially, because I didn't even think that he would care about it. And that first time when I told him that the stories were there, he was interested in hearing them. He even grabbed one of the old scripts that I'd put up that was a basic draft and decided to read it out. It was one of the scripts, the very first one. There's 7 of them, but there's still more in between, since they all take place over like a year with long month gaps in between. I was surprised that when I was telling it to him, he was interested in them. And that's why, like, he would consistently afterwards then feel obligated to take things like Camp Triggerfish and the like, because I tell him more and more often, I've got more stories like this in the works, and that's not wrong. I hadn't even had 60 scripts like that. It would have been something like 50, but the in-between stuff still counts then, and it still counts now. I'm still making stuff, even if I'm not actively able to put it out, because, well, I'm the one who's getting entertained by my own story as well, so I want to be able to make stuff relevant to when the canon makes stuff. Like, when Springfest happens, make it a big event, bam! A whole bunch of new squids and octos entered the occasion. You're not actually going to get those pictures for a while, but I feel that way. The people I'm with now, would they even want to hear that? It's just irrelevant. It's just not relevant. Yeah, it's my motivation, but usually when sometimes they ask why I'm so motivated, and I'll say it's because I've made stories, but that's as far as I go. I don't really go into the stories. People are all up the ante about spoilers. I don't really wanna. I wanna make sure they're happy. I'm working on this project. This whole project, clothes, maps, a side project. I'm working on this project because I enjoy these types of stories. I've been writing them for ages, or at least ones in the vein of Coif, my old fanfictions on the old wikis, the plays that I used to write at the early 2010s. It's just, I like it. And even better, I like seeing a story when it's visual. When it isn't just an image playing in my head that could very easily go away. Even if the image is static, that's still an image. Even if they're posed, that's still visual. And I don't agree with you. And when I mean you there, I mean a very, very specific individual. I don't agree with you and how you weaponized their problems. I may be scared because of reasons very similar to your passion, but I don't agree with you. I really, really don't. An enemy of a, I don't want to say enemy because they're not my enemies, but an enemy of a questionable person is not a friend in this circumstance. I've seen your crap, and it's garbage. I would prefer to make my own, now that I've been given pointers, instead of working off of your junk. It's like, while I might not be fully 100% blind faith to them, like you might have thought, I'm not on your side. I don't want to be on your side. Because your side claims that being friends with any of us is wrong. Which is wrong. I would like to claim that they are still my friends. I would like to claim that they, at least one of them for sure, the other one just in a very minor stance, have been huge inspirations for me even wanting to touch these stupid things at all. For me to even be able to access the latest updates of these things. How do you think I would have been able to gain the intelligence needed if they hadn't started something? If they hadn't been such influential figures who can do important things? I'm not blind faith to them. But I'm not trying to turn them into weapons either, for my own pleasures. I have no idea how depression feels. I know, like, despair, but I usually can push that aside when it's not necessary. But I've never been depressed. My self-esteem is way too high for that. I don't think that I'm bad. And like, when I take criticism, it's not often I do. And, you know, consider that a flaw all you like. But when I take criticism, I'm not whimpering. Real life would think I'm disabled, but on the internet, like, I'm normal in emotional stability and the like. I'm not depressed, so I can't really say that I can understand them, because I don't. But I wish something could encourage them. I wish they could feel the motivations that I have towards these things that allow me to keep going. I'm not going to weaponize it to say, oh no, them being this way is wrong. It's like, I just wish you guys could be more encouraged. I doubt they're even going to listen to this, because of course, no crap. Why would they listen to this? It's so damn long and full of me rambling about crap. But I'm motivated I want to keep doing something. Keep doing something to the thing I love. If other people do silly things, make their own silly stories, that doesn't bother me because I've already made my own. That's better to me. I like my stories with depth. I know I've made a story with depth to me, and I like it. Just because they exist doesn't mean I'm any worse off for it. And if anyone tries to tell me that I'm that I'm an Inspector Heavy because I also make Splatoon content, then they're gonna be hit with walls of text of reasoning, because that's how I go about things. People don't like the too long didn't read crap, but too bad, that's how I am. I make them because, well, that's this entire video if we're being honest. If I have to go further onto that opinion, I don't like how the internet has degraded into, oh, now we can only speak in faces and emojis, and now we only have to be simplistic towards each other. We only have to speak in extremely simplified sentences towards each other. We can't verify things, we can't justify things, we can't think and use our brains a little bit, no. We just gotta use the most casual, regurgitated crap all the time. And it's like, I understand. I myself personally, half the time, use sentences that are of your typical internet length. But when I will use a wall of text to run against you, my whole line of thought and reasoning, that's just how I would say it to you. I'm not gonna have any internet rules crap. I will speak with a long wall of text if it's possible. Granted, if a website will only allow me 500 characters, I'm not gonna put a wall of text there, but if a website allows me a wall of text, I will make a wall of text. Because I do not, just because we both make Splatoon content, we are not the same person. We are not the same people making content. And just because someone is taking a long time with their crap, with the intention, just because someone's taking a long time, they're not banking off of it. Especially if they're not being public about it, but my fear especially comes from the lack of response. A lot of the people that are super, super busy, like Random Bush and stuff, are busy and such, and we're not close. I only sent it as like a customer support thing because that's what it said in the script. If you encounter problems, contact Random Bush on Twitter, or VG Resource, or the like. If you encounter problems, that's what was said. So I just did as I was told. But like, I'm scared. I've been scared for months because I have no idea what's really going on. My whole presence is just ignored. Except by a few individuals. But I hate to sound ungrateful for a second. I really, really don't like sounding ungrateful because there are a lot of things that I'm grateful for, but sometimes it just doesn't feel like enough. When they say they can't work on this thing, they can't work on these things, or even if, you know, they just don't feel like it. I had to chop off a whole lot of sentence there, but they don't feel like it. Meanwhile, here I am, I sit here and I dream of the stories that I could make. With the characters in them, with the reactions that I could have, the scenes that I could frame. I don't go back to the scripts every single day, hoping for what could be. I do what I can, but I dream of this stuff. Not like physically dream, because my mind isn't even attuned to that much. It's mostly just nothing, but like I daydream often. Even before I sleep, I might have remembered a script piece or something that I had made. Maybe I'll think of a specific type of character or something. Or maybe one day, if I'm browsing through my Splatoon fan characters, I'll be looking at one of them, hoping for what could be. This is going on for a while and I'm getting tired, so, I'm gonna keep working. It's not as if I'll stop. That's not the reason I'm making this. To remain true to myself would be, like, that's what I need to do. I need to keep going in order to remain true to myself. There's a whole lot of spring Easter events happening in the month, and I gotta attend to those as well. So, but I want these things to happen. I don't want to just sit around doing nothing. To sit around mulling like I am here is exactly what they're doing, and exactly what the people I'm with do, and I can't. I don't wanna sit here doing nothing like this the whole time. It's just not good. I have files to move around, I have files to work with, so. But what else? Like, I'll keep working on the project. Any part of the project. Parts of it haven't been forgotten. Nothing is deleted. Like, even when I said I gave up on SM64, I still have all the SM64 assets. I'm thinking of maybe releasing them one day as well, like, to people. But it's... You would have to... I would want to release it in a state where you would be aware that you may have to navigate the folder structure that I had for that, because it's a mess, and I don't want to organize it if I don't do it. But whatever, that's irrelevant. I'm thinking of it maybe one day. It's like, the point is I preserve crap, so nothing is deleted. Nothing. Just, in fact, like, I'm constantly adding files because of the way I'm porting them, so it's not, they're not gone. Like, my work on whatever is not gone. It's just somewhere in there. But, I'll keep working, but I might work on the stories as well. If I come up with any bigger stories and I want to script them, that's also technically part of the project, so that also counts. But I really need to stress the whole project and anything really with Splatoon, and given that those are the types of files I'm working with now, I'm pretty much, yeah, I mean that. The stories are a really important reason for me to be able to work on them. And I'm not trying to be evil and withhold them from people. Currently, like, as of this recording, Skate Park is basically ready for release. I'm just getting people the promo for it. I've already seen one of the promos on Twitter. I just found it by accident while I was browsing people's Twitter feeds, and it is basically ready to be released out to people. And then once I do that, I'm going right back to the maps, full on, because like the rest of them are all over the place with what needs to be checked, and I feel like I want to approach them on a per map basis. At this point, that could change very quickly, so yeah. But the stories are really important to me. It's sad because I can't tell them about any of it. I can't splurge upon them this whole thing, because that'd be stupid. That'd be ridiculous. Why would they want to hear it? It's just nonsense. It's just only I get entertained by that. So I only keep it to myself. So I don't tell them, even though, you know, it's my motivation. It's like the only thing I tell them is that the stories motivate me, and that's it. I don't tell them anything about the stories. They don't ask. They never ask. No one ever asks. No one even ever bothers to search for themselves as well, even though it's all up there on DeviantArt. I really, really, really want to make these stories a reality. At least visually. A comic, a picture, whatever. If I had my way and the world wasn't hard on me, like animation, but I can't animate, so I gotta go for the next best thing, so. But I see these people talking about things that I really, really want, that are really good, but they don't have these stories. They don't have stories like them. It's just an endless stream of sideways breath, hand-waved promises that don't ever come to be. Or if they are coming to be, it's extremely slow and they can't. It's like when I'm importing something, I'm thinking to myself, what could I do in this place, story-wise? It's like with a piece of clothing. I remember this character that I had that wears it, and he or she is either cute or sad or mysterious or strict or something. The clothing adds to their personality, and that's important for me, because half of my gear cupboard is basically it on a character in there or something. But that's important to me, that these characters have their clothing or their thing. And while I'm porting, I just imagine that one day I'll be able to pose my characters with these things. It is so selfish. Yes. Absolutely, 100%. You can 100% hate me for it. That when I'm porting something, I'm just thinking about myself and what I can do with it. Doesn't mean I'm only gonna keep it to myself. I don't want to pose something that was made crappily, even if it's by myself. So, no, I don't want to be that cruel. Like, legitimately, you get what I meant. I just it brings me entertainment. It makes me happy. And if it makes me happy, I want to keep doing it. And I want to have it keep on motivating me. These squids, these octos, they're cute. I want to hug them. I want to pose them. I want to let them exist. Not just mine, everybody's. But especially mine. And most of my squids and octos have half of the game's gear cupboard in their inventory. If, you know. But I would still consider the stuff I haven't used for other people who have used it. I'm just saying that I care about them. And it really saddens me, really scares me when they'll say these things. They'll say them, and they don't have the worst intentions, but they can't control themselves. They can't control those urges that tell them no. And it makes me sad because I don't have those urges at all. If I want to do something, I want to do it. That doesn't apply to them at all. It's like I don't want to think that they're malicious because that's just part of their issues, but it slightly feels that way, personally. Can't help it. I really can't. I play this game. I actually play Salmon Run more, but, you know. I play this game because I really, really like it. And I'm gonna keep doing it because I like it. They're cute. I see you all liking artwork, liking memes, some of which are just them being cute. So I know it's not that you hate them, but yet you can't see the love I share for them. I could go on forever with this, but sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, it's like sometimes when I'm walking with people, I'm not exactly a fast walker. Not because I'm like so out of focus, but like I'm just slow. And usually I'll fall behind, and I feel bad for falling behind, because like these people want me to be up there at the front. Though usually I'm to myself, and I can feel better when I'm to myself. So it's not as if I'm totally in the wrong, but that feeling where I'm so behind and I don't like being behind, that's how I kind of feel when you all are down there, unable to move. You're falling behind on the walking track. Heck, you're not even walking. You're sitting there, staring at nothing. How I say I'm to myself, but I don't let myself get absorbed by dreams. Those dreams have absorbed you. And worse ones. Something you can't even control. Because you can't just let your brain say no. If you don't feel this way, you can't actually oblige yourself to. It's selfish, really selfish. This whole thing is selfish, but I really want you. And I know I'm talking to more than one person here. Not just 2 people, but multiple people. I want you to be able to feel like me. I want you. If you really enjoy seeing these squids act cute and happy around each other, and octolings, and the story and their flexibility and how utterly cute and adorable they are, I want you to feel the way I do. I'm serious. I'm utterly, legitimately, 100% serious. I don't want to be alone doing this thing where I port often. I port often because I really care. Everyone else just sits around. I mean, I really should have honestly just ended it there. I really wish that you had my motivations as well. That you were motivated as well by these cute, adorable little sea creatures. At the moment, though, I'm scared. And I wish I wasn't. I'm too scared to tell you any of this directly. You'd all reject me. I'm just no one. I'm lucky I even got to be in the groups that I'm in with you guys, because I'm just like them, who post the crappy ragdoll mover stuff, even though I'm using the fizz gun, but I'm just like them. Really. I'm lucky, and I'm grateful. I can't say I'm not, because that's not true, but I'm really scared. So anyway, maybe, I don't know, maybe I hope there might be a change, but I don't really know. I'm just spouting nothing at this point, and I should probably go to bed as I'm recording this. But Yeah, just that. I can't keep hiding it anymore. But that is how I feel. And so yeah. See y'all. Have a good day. Peace. And if you really, really, really love these things, then why? Why? Answer that for me. Why do you want to give them up? I'm not saying that they wanted to, I'm just speculating based off of my fears, my observations, and whatever. But why? Legitimately, why? I'm ready to be upset and then forget about it later, because that's how I roll. So, again, see y'all. Have a good day. Peace. And for the specific individuals I mentioned, again think, why do you think I feel this way? It's not out of the blue. Nothing happens that way. Not even yours.